Hi, everybody. I'm Alina. I'm from NGIatlantic Europe, and we got a small 3-month project within NGI, the group 3, the call 3, and we did the deployment and evolution of a 5G open spatial computing platform within a dense urban environment. Our partners from Europe were us and 3D Interactive, XR spatial computing content creation studio based outside of Stockholm. And on the US side, we were lucky to actually have 2 universities. One was Ivan with Rutgers University and the Cosmos testbed within New York, and the George Mason University with Professor Dr. Bohan. So what we did a full open source end-to-end solution for placing, storing, and rediscovering geo-anchored AR content within the physical world. Also, we used the NGI grant to further advance our reference and implementation of the open spatial computing platform that we as a nonprofit have been advancing and building its building blocks since 2020. Additionally, we also used the grant in particular together with 3D Interactive to advance a Unity client to make it easier for content creators to actually produce content for our open source platform. And then we also created a data collector application for spatial mapping, and also an open source image app, and also a storage solution. So we actually used the grant to really do testing and experimentation. So basically, the 3 months were split into 2 phases. The first phase was obviously to build all the backend stuff and further advance our platform. And the second phase, which unfortunately also fell a bit short, was the experimenting, do the hands-on testing within the lab. Since it was all within the COVID situation, we weren't actually able to go to New York. So what we used, and that also comes later, where we advance sort of engineering problems, is we had to rely on some proprietary solutions. So we actually did remote scanning of the lab. So we had a full-on 3D map of the lab, and then we did the testing. And so we relied on a lot of remote minions that did the work, since we couldn't go to New York. So coming to the first experiment. So we built the open source Unity client, which is Aurora, and you saw that image later, and to localize within the Rutgers Cosmos Lab, discovering services and existing content. So what you see here is basically we created the Unity client and we placed the Fox. And then we have an open source WebXR client. So what we did to test and make sure that the object that we placed with the Unity client were still persistent is we used the open source WebXR clients to reverse test, and we discovering the new created content, but also already checking and discovering existing content, and also other available services. The third experiment was actually demonstrating augmented reality sort of data visualization with visualizing IoT sensor data and to receive various sensor values in real time and visualizing that data with augmented reality. Another thing that was quite important for us was to create an open source web-based file storage system to also for content creators, not to make it more easily to embed 3D models and to allow users to upload more easily 3D content, and then vice versa, use the app to place the content. That's the image capture app for visual positioning mapping. So since within this experiment, in this phase of NGI, we've been reliant on proprietary solutions. Current proprietary visual positioning services, such as Augmented City or Immersal, are reliant on also proprietary image storage and image capture. So we also used the funds to create an open source app showing the compass direction of the level lines. So when you use and rotate devices, align them, and allow GPS coordinating and storaging, which is important for the visual positioning service itself. So then coming to one of the engineering problems that we faced, since we started with George Mason University using the NGI fund, but on their end they had NSF grant. So they used this project to start building an open source visual positioning system, which we within that project experienced it's such necessary to have, especially when you do research, since we were relying on proprietary solution from Augmented City. Close to the end of D3, sending in the documents, they did an update and it crashed all our anchoring. So we had to contact you guys and ask for a bit of a pushback because it was not in our hands. But that was for us, a great sort of use case to see how needed an open source alternative is, to not be reliant on proprietary solutions or services. So imagine if we were a company and we were launching stuff and reliant on their services, it would crash. So yeah, and we are still, and then coming to that, so we were lucky, we submitted a demo track and we were able to show actually in real time those experiments at ISMA last year. And we just showed images, but I think for augmented reality in general, or for those experimentations, it's better to also see the experiments, how they actually work. And now that you got the background information, so this is the Unity client. You open the app. What we do is, you see the content around you, the services, and then you place another 3D object. Here, the fox, and it's there, persistent. And then you log in with the WebXR client. And then you see the other stuff, other services, and you see the just placed fox there. Visualizing IoT data. And that's the camera app. And that's George Mason's open source VPS solution, which is still ongoing. We're currently aligning and looking for further NSF funding to push that advancement. Oh, I went to YouTube. Sorry. thought I embedded the video directly, but I obviously did not. Sorry about that. Yeah. So we actually, during the NGI project, we applied for Horizon Europe program. Yeah, it's fine. Horizon Europe program to scale the NGI project, also with Rutgers University as an associated partner. Unfortunately, we didn't get the grant needed to get that, but on the other hand, we just 3 months ago started XR for Human, which is an Horizon Europe funded project to work on core building blocks and frameworks for XR, sort of policy guidelines and all these things, with a consortium of amazing partners within Europe. So we continue, and here we are leading the interoperability work package. So continuing interoperability and openness. So yeah, everything that you saw is open source. Just go on GitHub, do whatever you want, further advance it. And also the website for further information, or if you have any further questions, yeah, feel free to reach out to us. That's it, short and sweet.
Thank you, Alina.
Sorry, so okay.
By the way, I have a question. Or I can try to bring the microphone, but let's see. Does it work? Oh, it works.
So people from home. Yeah. Thank you so much for your presentation, and we had a quick chat. Yesterday. As an NGO developing tech, how did you find the NGI core, and how will you be finding further financing? Because I think we're facing the same kind of problems.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that. So we are a nonprofit, actually. So everything that we build and produce is available for the further public and society, and also for researchers to build up on. It's quite so how we found NGI. I can't even remember, it's been so long. I think we searched the web, and somebody from our mother organization, so OpenAI Cloud Europe, is basically the branch of the bigger association, which is OpenAI Cloud, which is based in the US. And I think, if I remember correctly, it was Christine actually that reached out to you, Jim. And then we had a first meeting sometime end of 2020? No, 2019. I don't know. Yeah, and then we looked into the call, and it actually, since we were at the cross, we started to come up with the idea of the reference implementation or the core building blocks of the open spatial computing platform end of 2019. So then we started developing it, but we are a nonprofit, so all our members, we are reliant on voluntary work. And in order to keep up, we need funding. And I think this small funding, we did a lot of core needed developing work to push it forward. And it also opened the doors to now bigger opportunities. So for that, we are really grateful. And also for the whole US team, we still working together. We're still finding ways to further collaborate. I wish we would have gotten the funding for city part and building this citizen participation platform. That would have been even a further step, because we were including also Open Ireland and the further network of the Cosmos testbed, but we didn't. But we are now looking for other opportunities to actually put this project into reality as well. But yeah,
Yes.
To answer your question, I don't know, have we found, I think NGI as a small project, it opens further doors because you make other connections. And then yeah, go from there. But as you know, it's tough.
It is tough. It is tough. It's a different business model.
Yeah, and but you see that especially now with the proprietary solutions, they're losing trust. And once you lost the trust, you can't gain, you can rebrand your company as much as you want. You lost the trust. So I think there's still a need, is a niche, the open source, but especially throughout NGI and especially the creation of the open source VPS, we had a couple of other institutions globally reaching out to us. Oh my God, this is so cool. And we actually had a similar idea. So we now, especially institutions and researchers and university, need these alternatives to be not reliant on proprietary solutions for their own research good.
Thank you, sir.
And if I can just, I'm sort of racking my brain, Alina, but my memory of the first contacts was, as you said, it came through, we had what we call the coaching program for people who were interested in participating. And we did this primarily because at the very start, we didn't have the NSF DCL in place. So we wanted to make sure that we had some way of attracting as many applicants, because we had our own KPIs to fulfill. So we had this coaching program, as the open calls were opened, if someone would send us an email that wasn't answered on the FAQ, if the questions were a bit too complex, we would have like a short coaching call. And I do remember I think meeting with some of your colleagues first, and then we gave you some suggestions. And if I remember correctly, you became part of our twinning lab, which then led to the connections with Cosmos and with George Mason University. So you were able to get connected with them, which was great. So just my quick question to you is, I think you're one of the the few projects that had 2 US partners instead of 1 US partner. So how did you find that? Was that something that was difficult, or how did you maneuver with having 2 different partners?
I mean, we also had quite a bumpy start, as you remember.
Mm-hmm.
So at the beginning, we also, especially if they are more involved, you need to order instruction, make sure where are their strengths and needs, and then finding the bridges. So it took some time at the beginning to actually get this in order, and then we found sort of a flow with it, with having bi-weekly meetings, always being on track, setting up some sort of a roadmap and all these things. It took some time at the beginning, but then we found a way, and especially I would also say 3D Interactive was a counterpart also on the development, and they were the connection then also to the US, between us and the US, and to also make sure that we align the interests also. If you are more people, obviously there are different interests, and yeah.
Okay, thank you.